All right, Coach. Well, the story in the forward position is kind of obviously a unique position. You bring back two guys, two proven commodities, and the two most veteran guys on the team in terms of time spent within the program, and Emmanuel Terry and Dorian Pinson. But kind of behind that group is a bunch of unproven and unfamiliar guys who we haven't seen yet that much at the college level. So kind of talk about the forward group as a whole.
Well, I think it's like you said. I mean, you got two guys that really will kind of lead the way for us, not just with the forwards, but I think will kind of set the tone for our team. And Dorian Pinson and Emmanuel Terry, they're guys that have obviously as sophomores 2 years ago started a national championship game. They were key cogs of that team. They were both key cogs last year until both were kind of derailed by injuries. Dorian was season-ending. Emmanuel, it was a setback. I think he, when you look at the end of his season, he had a career high in points in the first round of the NCAA tournament, had a career high in rebounds in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. I thought he finished incredibly strong and but it took him a long time. He was out for a long period of time. I think 5 weeks, missed 10 games, and then had to come back and try to get in rhythm. And by the time that happened, you're looking at the end of January, beginning of February, and he returned. And it took him almost till March to really kind of get his rhythm back. And so those two guys, though, are like I said, we know when we hope we know what to expect from them. They're both guys that are very accomplished, very proven, veteran guys that you expect to have great seasons. We're gonna need them to be great for us to have a chance to be successful. Behind them, you got really three guys that I think could play. Obviously, we'll play different ways. We've talked. You and I have talked many times. We aren't as consumed with positions. We do have bigs, but I think we have a lot of guys that fit in that small forward bucket that are in that 6'5", 6'6" range, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" that can play 2 through 4 and can play together. But when you're talking about true bigs, I think Tion Williams comes to mind. He's a 6'9" redshirt freshman. Tion's a guy that I think has a world of potential. He's very, very skilled, gifted, can step away from the basket, can shoot threes, handles the ball, he passes well. He has a good feel for the game. He's a guy that has a defensive presence. He can block shots. He's 6'9" with long arms. He's completely different than Emmanuel. Emmanuel's athleticism and mobility are beyond the pale in terms of anybody that we've ever had here. And Tion's not that way, but he's more of a positional rebounder, and he's a great positional shot blocker. He affects and alters shots with his length and his timing. But he's a guy that we expect to play minutes for us as a redshirt freshman. Stephen Perrier, redshirt junior, came to us from Sinclair, redshirted last year. He's a guy that high motor, terrific rebounder. He's a guy that goes after every ball. He can step out and shoot. He's got good skill. He's different than Tion. He's not the ball handler and passer he is, but he's definitely an above average 3-point shooter. He can score on the block a little bit, but he's a guy that just really changes the game with his effort and his intensity, and he competes every single possession. And there's always room for guys like that. And then you got Rondy Hackett, who's a redshirt sophomore. Ron's been here for 3 years. He's more than capable. Rondy's got great talent. The key for him is going to be consistency, and doing it on a day in, day out basis. But Rondy's 6'7", and he's versatile. He's really kind of unique in the sense that he can play alongside of any other big in our program. Rondy can play alongside of a Dorian, who's a 4. And be the 5. Rondy can also play alongside of Emmanuel, who's a 5, and be the 4. So that's a leg up for him. I think Steve's kind of the same ilk, Perrier, where they can play alongside of any other big in our program. So as a group, you got two guys that are absolutely proven. I think I have a chance to be two of the best players in the country. And you got a bunch of guys, the other 3 that haven't never scored a basket here, or not. Well, 2 of them have scored a basket here. 1, Rondy, that has, but 3 guys that have never really played any type of significant minutes. So we're going to need at least 1 or 2 of those guys to emerge as players for us, as factors for us, as guys that are inside of our rotation for us to have a chance to have a successful year.
When you haven't been led in scoring by a forward since Vinny Bailey's All-American season in 2013-14. Obviously, we've been a much more guard-oriented team since then. So kind of what are you expecting for the contributions from the forward group?
Well, I think, every year is different, but I think Emmanuel's improved tremendously offensively. I think, his game, his back-to-basket game's evolved. He's always had a pretty nice face-up game. Emmanuel's, is so versatile. He gets downhill. I think, and I don't know, who knows what'll happen, but it wouldn't shock me if he led us in scoring because he's obviously, he's like I said, the overall offensive arsenal's improved. And I think when you look at guys like Dorian Pinson and Josh Odom, you got guys that really do a great job of seeing the role, and we'll find him. He's a great screener and rim runner. He loves to screen and get out of it, and he sprints to the rim, and he either does a great job of sucking the defense in or freeing himself, and you got guys that'll be able to find him, and who knows how it'll play out, but I think he's got a chance to do that. Dorian's obviously capable of scoring at a high level. He's just gonna, the thing that makes Dorian unique is his versatility and how much he affects the game in so many different ways, from his versatility defensively to his playmaking to his scoring to his, obviously he's a great, unbelievable defensive rebounder. He's a guy that can allow us to do a lot of things. We can play small and have him at the 5, and he can guard 5s and he can guard point guards, and so he's a guy that we don't take for granted in terms of what he brings to the table. But Dorian's a guy I think you'll find that both those guys, will score the ball at a good level. And then behind that, I think, it's about, those other guys complementing the group around them. So that's really where we look at Tion or Steve or Rondi. How do they complement the players that are around them? Can they come in and defend at a high level? Do they come in and does, do they do things to bring value to winning? I think that's always how you gauge all players, but particularly when you get to the bench, and I don't think any of those guys, we're not, keeping state secrets where, saying that Dorian and Emmanuel are going to start, and so those guys will be coming off the bench. But what order that is, 3 through 5, I think that's probably the most fluid situation on our team, because you could walk in a certain day and one guy looks great, and another day another guy looks great, and so the challenge for all 3 of those guys is and they each have strengths and weaknesses, but the challenge for each of them is consistency and being able to go out and do it on a day in, day out basis, bring value to the team, affect winning, and the guy that does that will kind of slide into that that 3rd role, and the guy who does it the second will slide in that 4th role, and there'll probably be one guy who's not playing. But again, it wouldn't shock me that if it's a game by game or by committee deal, because I don't know that any one of them's established themselves. Certainly hasn't as a clear-cut, third option there in the post. But none of them have established themselves where, hey, they're not in the mix. All 3 of those guys have done enough good things and enough things that need improvement to where they're just in a battle right now. But that's certainly Emmanuel and Dorian are a cut above, and they should be, because they've been here. They've played in so many games. They have so much experience, like you said. Their corporate knowledge and talent are through the roof. So, it'd be pretty good to walk in as a new player and usurp one of those guys' positions.
Well, and despite some of the questions behind Dorian and Emmanuel, the talent's there, the size is there, the athleticism is there, so it wouldn't be really that surprising if you saw kind of like you said, a switch from a statistical standpoint where maybe the team's leading scorer, rebounder, passer, and shot blocker all came from this group here. Yeah,
it certainly could happen. Like I said, I think Emmanuel's, Dorian is capable of scoring and averaging, more than probably he will. I don't know that he's that's something he's consumed with. I think Dorian's, like I said, Dorian does a great job of making everybody around him better. Like we've talked about, that's the best thing you can say about a player, is that he makes his teammates better. Dorian Pinson, as much as any player I've ever coached, makes his teammates better, because he allows guys, he can do so many things at such a high level that it allows guys to play inside of their games and not have to do more than what they need to do to be successful. Again, Emmanuel has had growth each year. Nobody sacrificed probably more than him last year. He had to change positions. When Chris came on board, he went from the 5 to the 4. That's really out of position for him. He had to acquiesce a lot of different things, and it was hard for him. But he had a great year till he got hurt. And then, he was out for we talked about from really Christmas to the end of January. Comes back, it takes him a while, he gets back in rhythm, and then he finished the season up, and he was tremendous, career high in points against, I think, Pfeiffer in the first round of the NCAA tournament, career high in rebounds, 17 or 18 rebounds against Chico State in the Elite Eight, and just played great basketball throughout the NCAA tournament for us. We wouldn't have certainly gotten the Final Four without him. He was terrific, and I think he's had another great jump. He's a guy that really works at it. He's he wants to be good. He wants to improve. He loves the game. So he just gets better and better, and his ceiling is really unlimited. I mean, his best basketball. He just turned 21, in the end of August, and his best basketball won't be here. It'll be somewhere down the line in another 3-4 years, because he just keeps working. He keeps improving, but he has a chance with the strides he's made. Again, who knows how it'll play out, but he's a guy that has an opportunity. It wouldn't shock me if you go to the end of the year and Emmanuel's our leading scorer. It would shock me if somebody outside of Emmanuel or Dorian is our leading rebounder, and and certainly the shot block Emmanuel brings to the table. So I think you can see a lot of things that this group will do. It's a versatile group. It's athletic. Like you said, we have good size. I mean, Emmanuel's 6'8", Tion's 6'9", Steve's 6'7", Ron's 6'7". So you got some guys, and there's some versatility. Steve and Rondi can play in our system, the 4 or the 5. They have the ability to do either. They can really pair up with any other big, and certainly, obviously, Dorian can play with everybody in really every position. So the only guys that are really probably true 5s are Emmanuel and Tion, and we think both those guys bring a lot to the table. And Tion will be a guy that, when Emmanuel needs a break or is in foul trouble or whatever the case may be, we have a lot of comfort putting him in there, because, like I said, he can do a lot of different things, and he's 6'9", and he does give us, in a different way, but very similar rim protection to what Emmanuel does.